Hi, I'm Brooke. Welcome to my channel. Today, I want to tell you a story about a time when I judged someone and was all, "Oh, that's not how I am," kind of thing, and then realized that is how I am. And I took that to learn something about myself, or I could see that I was projecting something. And then how, when I shifted, the outside shifted as well. It's a good story because I not only help myself, I help someone else. And this, to me, this is about that saying, when you change how you look at something, that thing actually changes. So I believe, we're each having our own individual experience in this larger collective experience, and that you're responsible for how you are observing the world, not only to yourself, but essentially to the characters in your story. If you're observing someone in a way that's really negative, they're going to play out, or you're going to have that experience of them. It's kind of like what's coming to me now, Ho'oponopono. I don't really engage with that very much, but I've heard of it, and I know the general story. If you're not aware of it, you can look into it, but it's like an ancient Hawaiian ritual, I believe, where you essentially say like, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." And the idea is that you do that in you, and then the outside starts to change. And there's a story about a guy who um, he did this. I think he was a psychologist, and he was just reading files about there was a particular prison that was like had really negative behavior in their inmates. And he just looked at the files of these inmates, didn't even go there, just looked at the files and started to say the Ho'oponopono prayer, or saying whatever you want to chant. And he started to say that over and over to each one. He would study their files and then essentially shift the perception of them. And then there was a dramatic increase in positive behavior. Like the inmates started to behave differently. And he never went there. He didn't talk to them. He didn't, sit down and have sessions with them or anything like that. He just changed his perception. And then these people outside over here started to change. And it sounds like, what? That's not how things work. But I think it is how things work. So I'm going to tell you the story, something I did, something similar. I didn't exactly use the Ho'oponopono technique, but I used something a little different, but it's a similar thing where I saw someone one way and judged it, and then changed the way I saw it, and then saw the results of that. So I think you're gonna love this story because I love it. I was really excited to go through the whole cycle of it. And it's really exciting because that means you can change your mind at any time and see things different, and then have those experiences, and yeah, have different experiences. I guess you could put it that way. I don't like to use the word, I was going to use the word results, but I feel like that has like a negative connotation in a way because there's like a pressure. It's not about getting a result. It's about you just shifting and feeling within yourself for yourself. And then it just so happens that that's going to be reflected. But if you do it on purpose to try and change the reflection, that's not really going to work. That's not how it works. Anyways, I'm going to tell you the story and it will all make sense and you'll see how it all ties together. So hopefully this will be a fun, inspiring story for you. And first, I'm going to tell you a bit about me. I'm a fine art photographer. This is a couple pieces of my art behind me. I'm in my gallery in Manhattan Beach, California. And you can see like a lot of the other videos, I have like a little bit more art. other walls. So if you want to check out some more, you can look at some of my other videos and see the backgrounds. And you can also visit my website. I'm going to put a link in the description. And the artwork is just really being in the present moment with what's right in front of you, relaxing, soothing, colorful, joyful artwork. So if you're into that, check out the link. Okay, so this story has to somewhat do with artwork. Um, and so I had a gallery. So there was a gallery that contacted me that wanted to have some of my artwork in their gallery. And I wasn't sure, I haven't really done that in a while since I've had my own gallery, but I was open to it. I had like a mutual friend in common with the gallery owner. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna check it out. So I went into that gallery one day to check it out. And the owner of the gallery, super nice, but also seemed really negative, complaining a lot about business, customers, always has to sit there, blah, 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 blah. And just seemed kind of like just a negative vibe, so a lot of complaining. And then also he showed me this one painting that he was like, "Oh, this painting's been here forever. It's been here for years. It doesn't sell." Like, and he said to me, what do you think's wrong with it? Like he phrased the question like that. And for a minute, I started to look at it to think about what might be wrong with it. And then I thought to myself, there's nothing wrong with it. And I said to him, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it. This is gonna be, someone's gonna love this. This is perfect for someone, for the right person, it's a match. And then I said to him, because he was cool, he was nice and like open to a lot of this kind of stuff like I talk about on my channel, manifesting and things like that. And so I just said, like, if you phrase it that way, like the fact that you're saying there's something wrong with it, and it's funny because you said something wrong with it, I went to find something wrong with it, even though there's nothing wrong with it. And I said, like, if you keep phrasing things like that, like that's the result you're gonna get. And then he was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I know. There's something wrong with it, but it'll sell." He said that in particular, and I just laughed and I was like, "No, it won't. Not until you change that story. Like, there's something wrong with it, but it will sell. That doesn't make any sense. If there's something wrong with it, it won't sell. Or if it's great for the right person, it will sell. You have to tell the story about one or the other. Those are like two conflicting ideas. So, um, and I told him that and kind of we had a laugh and then I left the gallery and I thought to myself, you know what? I don't want my stuff in there, right? He's got a attitude that I don't, it's not for me. And it's funny, so I had a session, a coaching session. This was a while back. And this woman, she has a channel on here, Headley Dorenzi. She's super nice, super cool. And she told me about, she has this technique, and I'm gonna walk through it. She has like a lot of videos on it. She calls it the I am technique. And so at this time, this is a few years back, and I had a call with her the next day and I said, I told her about the gallery and I'm like, yeah, that's not for me. And like, that's his energy. It's not my energy, right? Specifically like separated myself from it. And she just kind of laughed and was like, let's see. So, so her technique is you say whatever like that, like if something's bothering you, you just say, this is bothering me. Here's the things that are bothering me. So I said, oh, he's complaining, insecure, complaining about customers, complaining about he had to be in the gallery, so it's long hours, blah, blah, blah. And then what you do, so you write all that out and then you claim it, her idea, and I found it to be accurate, is like we're all part of the same thing. It's all the I am, and you're having your I am perspective, right? So if you're seeing it, if you're observing it, it's something in you, right? Because if it wasn't, you wouldn't even notice it. it doesn't mean that it's not there. Someone else might notice it, but there's so many things out there. And if it's something that you're noticing, that has something to do with you, right? That's something in you and you're seeing it reflected. So, you know, we wrote out all the stuff that I was like, oh, that's his problem, not mine. I'm laughing because it's so funny when you finally start to really see yourself. Um, Anyway, and then so the idea is you write it all out and then you claim it. So if I say, he's complaining, I am complaining. He's insecure, I'm insecure. He's complaining about customers, I'm complaining about customers. And as I started to say I am, I realized that was true. I was doing that at least on some level. Each one of those things I was relating to because I had pretty recently opened up my gallery and was still figuring things out and like feeling kind of trapped a little bit and having some worries or concerns or complaints. And maybe I don't express it in the same way that this person did, but those were still feelings that I was having, and when like when we said it out loud, I was like, yeah, there we go. I see myself. And as much as I wanted to be like, that's his energy, not mine, it was mine. It was mine. Otherwise, it wouldn't have bothered me. I wouldn't have noticed. We would have had a different type of conversation, any of those things. I wouldn't have even gone there. I don't know, but the fact that I went there and the fact that it bothered me and it bothered me enough to say something in that call that's a clear indicator that that's something, swimming around in you. And thank the other person for showing it to you. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what we're all supposed to do is reflect things to each other. So yeah, so you go through and you say, I am, I am, I am. And then you go through and you do the opposite. So if you say, I'm insecure, you say, I'm secure, I'm confident, I'm complaining, about customers, I'm loving my customers. So you take the complete opposite and you internalize it and say each one and really feel it and internalize it. And it's amazing. It feels so good. And I want to say it feels so good. It feels so good to admit. I think so much of the way society is structured, there's a lot of like hiding things from yourself. Forget about other people. That's a whole other conversation. But I don't know if it even is. Like when you can admit things to yourself, it's such a relief. And it's that's all it takes is for you to go, yeah, I see myself in that. Yeah, I'm complaining, or I'm nervous about this, or I'm feeling insecure. And yeah, I'm noticing this person is feeling like that. And I'm noticing it because I'm feeling that way about my thing, right? And then once you just acknowledge it, it's no big deal. And then just go, okay, well, what's the opposite? I'm feeling insecure. I'm feeling secure. Okay, I choose secure. Like, but it's the no, 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 that's not me. That's not me. Like, it's that keeps you in it. And we're taught, like, it's like so weird. Like, once you start to just face things, it's not that big of a deal. It's the not facing them that makes them a big deal. Anyway, so we did the picking the opposite and really feeling, the wanted version of those things, really feeling them, embodying them. And then when this situation, because there's a third person, or I guess it's not a third, a second person, I'm the first person. And so, because there's another person, so we did, I am him and I am secure. I am him and I am loving my customers. So we took it and, you embody that you are them, because again, everything is from your perspective. The perspective that I had of him was, oh, he's this, he's that, whatever thing I don't like. But is that really true, or is that the only version of him? You could say, like, there's infinite versions of him, let's say. So I'm choosing to observe that version and bring that version in my reality that I don't particularly like. But there's other versions, and let me observe those and bring those into my reality, right? And that's up to me. And that's like that Ho'oponopono where that psychologist was observing the prisoners different. And so they started to behave different. And so we did the whole thing where, I embodied the positive aspects of him, or at least positive according to me, right? And it was amazing because I really felt it. With each one, I sort of closed my eyes and really embodied, like, just really felt into being him and feeling good and positive and loving, him loving his business. And I really felt it, and I really felt good. I really remember that it felt so good. And I thought, yeah, that it's like you think you want to hate somebody, or you think you want to be mad at somebody or put them down or something. You think that's going to be satisfying, but it's not. It's so much more satisfying. Maybe it's satisfying for like a minute, but there's really no lasting true satisfaction to that. And I was actually surprised because I went in thinking, ew, I'm gonna get away from that energy. That's turns out my energy. And sort of having a negative perspective of this person. And then going through that process and then ending up really feeling into him having everything he wanted and feeling so, and this is a virtual stranger. I mean, I just met him once, some Instagram exchanges. And and here I am embodying this best version of him and feeling great. I'm like, this is great. Of course, this is what I want for him and for everybody. It feels so good. So went through that session. I felt great. And I feel like I think either 1 or 2 days after, I see a post on social media that the painting that had been there for years and years and quote unquote something wrong with it, that it's sold. And I was so happy. I can't even tell you, it felt just as good as if I sold my own, I sold a big piece of my own. Like I was just like, oh my God, it feels so good. And I did reach out. I was like, "Oh, congratulations!" And he said, "Oh, I remembered some of the stuff that you said, and I reimagined things or whatever he said that he did." And to me, look, I could have gone down the road of, oh, that's how he is, and I'm not like that, and stayed in a denial. And then I would have just kept meeting more and more people like that. That's really like just me. And and you could say, oh, like I had nothing to do with the selling of the painting, but I would say that there's realities where the painting sold, where it didn't sell, where other things happen. I lined up with a reality where it sold, and it sold like right after I did that, after not selling for years. So I'm taking credit. Not like that he's his own entity doing his own thing, but I lined up, I observed the version of him that's selling, that's doing well, that realizes there's somebody that loves this painting. I don't have to phrase it as there's something wrong with it. I lined up with a successful version of this person and of myself. So, and then I also, because at the time I was kind of struggling with what to do with, mm, like my place is like tucked away in an alley, and it's still like, I have a sign I put out on the main street to get customers, but it's mostly by appointment, and that's really what I wanted. But during that time I was forcing myself to be here a lot and to try and have like more set times, which I really didn't want. And so I was like kind of struggling with that. And and then yeah, and then this guy reflected like, complaining about customers, complaining about hours. And if I would have just stayed with the blinders of like, this isn't me, it's him, I would have missed the opportunity to really face what I was going through with myself of like, if you want appointments, if you want that to be the business, that's okay. Just go all in on it. Don't do this half-ass sitting and being irritated. Because that doesn't work. So, and I did. I really started to feel different, and now I feel satisfied. Like people do make appointments, and when I commit to being here, I show up happy, and it's a different kind of energy, and way more people come in when I'm sitting here than they ever used to before I made that switch in my own mind. And it was this guy and this encounter and looking at myself in the situation that really helped me to make that, you know, shift in my own perception. So I feel like I've talked about this before, this idea of like blame. And there's so much of that in the consciousness and in the vernacular. And like, there's all these like, I don't even want to talk about like all the groups that get like demonized, this or that entity or corporation or whatever is the problem. No, it's not nothing is the problem. Like you just have a choice of how you're observing something, and you can choose to observe it differently. And you may or may not experience a quote unquote result right away, but if you feel different, that's the result. And then trust that that feeling is magnetic. Like in the call, when I was doing the I am, and I did it for myself and for this guy, I felt so good. I'm curious, it was like recorded. Maybe I should go back and watch because I feel like even in the call, I said, like, I remember being like, gosh, I'm surprised how good this feels to wish these, or not even wish, just to embody these feelings with respect to this person who I don't, hardly know. And so it's so powerful. It's so much more powerful to be in that state of appreciation and love for anyone, for yourself and for everyone else, than to be in the energies of blame, revenge, etc. Just a side note, I mean, it goes with this, but like I was on Instagram. There's so much with the AI stuff, and there was an account that had a lot of followers, and it's clearly AI. It's the same guy in every post, and it's just him like in different places. But to me, I mean, it clearly looks like AI is clearly not a real person, but it looks so real. And the one that came up on my feed talked about it had like the information was like a priest, or I don't know what it's called, the one that listens to people's confessions. I think it's a priest. I'm sorry. Or there was some other word, but anyways, the priest or whoever it is that listens to when people confess, that, according to this priest, I'm sorry, but I feel like there's a different word for it. But anyways, according to this person that has all this experience listening to people, pour out their heart, that according to him, it's far more powerful to take revenge than to forgive someone. And I was like, this is horrible advice. And people are like agreeing with this. And, there's all these comments. I'm always fascinated. And I went to look at like, these are real people. I clicked on their accounts, and they're believing that this is a real guy and a real story about a real priest who told people to seek revenge instead of forgiveness. And I was like, oh no, that is messed up. So I said it in another video too, like just be careful about what's AI and what's not. And also, it doesn't matter because it could be a real person that would say that. I've seen plenty of real people accounts that say all kinds of messed up stuff. Um, but that one just happened today. It was like shocking. It was like, what? And people are agreeing with it. Um, all I can say is that it feels so much better to love than to hate. I mean, you know that that's true. Now, that doesn't mean if something happens to you that you immediately have to like move into love or forgiveness. You might have to take your time, moving through the stages, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But to act like that revenge or hate or whatever is like superior in some way, I'm gonna disagree with that. Um, so and I just like I saw that and I was just like, oh my God, this is sad for people that agree with that. But then I remembered this story, this experience where I was so put off by this other person and realized it was just a reflection of me. And then how amazing it felt to give us both, like, embody love and success and joy and everything for both of us. And then to see it play out for this other person so quickly and to feel so much joy and pleasure in their success. And not that that person wronged me in some way, but I was definitely very put off in the beginning. And I'm so happy I turned it from the, more lower whatever energy field into like the happier, higher version of it. So just, food for thought. That's a fun thing that I am. If someone's bothering you, just write down what's bothering you, claim it. I am this, I am that. Then go to the opposite. I am insecure, I'm secure, etc. And then just really feel into it and realize you really do have a choice. You always have a choice. And if there's another person involved, try doing, do it for them, embody those better feelings for them and then see what happens. It's so awesome. And maybe you have like a different process that you do, but that general, the Ho'oponopono, I think is also really good. People love that. If you don't know what it is, definitely just write it into YouTube. There's a million videos. It's so powerful to observe from a love state. And if you see a video that says revenge is better than forgiveness, absolutely not. I'm sorry, I'm going to put my foot down there. I mean, revenge is better than feeling hopeless or powerless, but it's true forgiveness, true um, embodiment of love. I think that's like the top of the ladder. Anyways, stay safe out there. Pay attention to what's AI and what's not. See if you can tell the difference. I'm having a harder and harder time telling the difference. There's some things that I really am shocked that it's not real. But this was to me, it looked clearly AI. Um, but apparently not clear to everybody. Anyways, all right. I hope everyone is well. Let me know if you have some fun stories where you shifted your perspective about someone or something and then noticed the difference. And see you in the next video.